You're watching Forsaken Joe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the story. Let's begin. The mug slipped from my hand and shattered against the tile, hot coffee burning my wrist, but I didn't feel it. Natalie's hand had already connected with my face, hard, fast, no warning. I just stood there, stunned, one foot still in front of the fridge. I'd come back from the bakery 15 minutes ago. Oat milk latte for her, lemon Danish, paper bag still on the counter. My name's Mason. I'm 31. I live in Reno, Nevada. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? This was a Saturday morning. I was barefoot, wearing boxers and her college hoodie, chill playlist on. I'd been humming something when the front door flew open so hard it bounced off the stopper. Amelia stormed in like she owned the place, red-faced and wild-eyed. Natalie was behind her, quiet but tense, hair still wet from the shower. Amelia's voice shook the walls. Mason got my friend pregnant. She pointed to a girl I barely recognized. Thin, stiff posture, wide eyes like she'd rather be anywhere else. One of Amelia's friends she brought to a BBQ weeks back. I hadn't spoken to her for more than a minute. I couldn't even remember her name. "What the hell are you talking about?" I asked. But Natalie didn't even flinch. No questions, no pause. Her face went blank and she slapped me, just like that. "You lied to me," she said, voice low and tight. "You disgusting liar." I opened my mouth, but footsteps thundered up the stairs behind them. Natalie's two cousins, Derek and Shane, both bigger than me, both already charging. "What the—" They didn't wait. Derek grabbed my shirt and yanked me toward the door. Shane punched me hard in the stomach. I doubled over, gasping. "This is what you get, scumbag," Shane growled, shoving me again. I barely managed to grab my backpack by the door before they dragged me outside. I tripped down the steps, skinned my knee on the pavement. Neighbors peeked from balconies and windows. I heard someone gasp. My face burned hotter than the sun. Derek gave me one last shove. "Stay the hell away from her." Then the door slammed shut. I stood there a second, blood running from my mouth, my eye already swelling. I turned, walked off the property barefoot, carrying nothing but a backpack. When I hit the sidewalk, I stopped, pulled out a sticky note from my wallet, and wrote 5 words. "You didn't even ask." I stuck it to the mirror outside the front door. Then I kept walking. I ended up at the Starview Motel on 4th and Gentry. Roaches on the wall, piss-yellow lighting, and a broken heater that clicked every 10 minutes. $40 a night cash. I gave the guy 5 days up front and told him not to ask questions. He didn't. The first night, I didn't sleep. Just sat on the bed staring at the wall while the coffee burn on my wrist blistered and itched. I couldn't stop hearing Natalie's voice, that cold, flat, final tone. "You disgusting liar," like it was a fact, not even worth arguing. The second morning, I checked my email. Subject: immediate status change. HR notice. They didn't even bother calling me. Unpaid leave, pending internal review. I was a junior PM at a clean energy firm. Nothing high profile, but corporate enough to get nervous about bad optics. The message was sterile, cold. I wasn't surprised. Then came the post. Someone on a Reno community forum had written it like a sad little campfire story. "What do you do when your cousin's best friend tells you your boyfriend got her pregnant? Do you believe her? Do you ignore your gut? No names, no photos, just enough details to feel real if you knew the people involved. Timeline matched, the setup matched. The cousin part was the dead giveaway. It blew up fast. By evening, it had over 3,000 comments. The top one just said, "You dump his sorry ass and burn his stuff." Thousands of likes. Then someone, I still don't know who, posted my photo. One of my old LinkedIn headshots from years ago. Someone else cross-referenced it with my company's press release from last fall. A third comment added, "His name's Mason Whitaker. He works at Clear West Solar. Gross." That was the end of it. A wave of likes, shares, and shit-talking followed. People made memes out of my face. A TikTok girl stitched it with "men are trash" commentary and 500,000 views. I didn't even have TikTok. I sat on the motel bed watching it unfold, eyes dry, stomach hollow. It was like watching someone else's execution, except it was mine. Next morning, my landlord called. He sounded nervous. "Hey, Mason, I think you should find somewhere else to stay." A couple tenants complained. "I gotta, Keep things calm around here. I didn't argue. Just said I'd grab my stuff by the end of the week. He was gone before I finished packing. I tried to stop at Bennett's Deli the day after, my favorite sandwich shop. I walked in, and the girl behind the counter froze, stared for a second, then turned to the manager. They whispered. He walked up. "Sorry, we're closing early today." It was 2 p.m. A woman near the soda fountain whispered to her friend, "That's him." I left before they could look again. The rest of it fell apart fast. Texts I sent to friends, ignored, group chats, silent. Even people I hadn't seen in years, blocked me on Instagram, deleted me off Facebook. My name turned radioactive. I messaged Trevor, my college roommate. He read it, never replied. I tried calling my older brother, straight to voicemail. You'd think someone would ask me if it was true, just one person, but no one wanted details. They just wanted distance. I walked 5 miles back to the motel that night. Didn't even notice my feet bleeding till I peeled off my shoes. That was when I realized it didn't matter what I said. The lie was louder than I'd ever be. I opened my laptop. One by one, I started deleting accounts. LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Instagram. I nuked everything. By midnight, it was like I never existed. I stared at the cracked ceiling, listening to the heater tick like a broken metronome. Maybe disappearing wasn't just an option. Maybe it was the only move left. The next morning, I walked to a pawn shop on Keenan Street with everything I had worth more than $20. Laptop, watch, some tools, Bluetooth speaker, my bike. The guy behind the glass counter gave me $280 in cash and didn't ask a thing. I left with a canvas duffel and one goal: get out. Not restart, not rebuild, just vanish. There was a travel agency 2 blocks from the bus station. Dusty blinds, yellowed posters of beaches and mountains no one visited anymore. The guy inside was in his 60s, chewing toothpicks and watching daytime TV. When I walked in, he didn't even glance up. "You booking or browsing?" "Booking," I said. "Anywhere but here." That got a chuckle out of him. "Ain't heard that one in a while. Got a destination or just spinning the wheel?" I looked at the map pinned behind his desk. There was a thumbtack stuck into a coastal town I'd never heard of, Fog Harbor, Oregon. "There," I said. "That one." He squinted. "You sure?" "Ain't much out there but docks and weather." "Perfect." The ticket was $82, cash only. He stapled it to a bus schedule and handed it over like he was giving me a second chance I didn't earn. The ride was brutal. 2 transfers, stale air, crying kids, broken Wi-Fi. I stared out the window for 16 hours while the world blurred past, highways turning to back roads, strip malls to gas stations, then just trees and fields. Everything behind me shrank in the glass. Fog Harbor hit like a different planet. Cold breeze, thick mist, salt in the air. You could hear gulls before you saw them. I stepped off the bus with my duffel and followed the sound of the water. Found a bar with rooms upstairs. 5-night rentals, no ID required if you paid in cash. The guy behind the counter handed me a key, told me not to make noise after midnight. Room 4 had 1 window and smelled like damp towels. I didn't care. I walked to the docks the next morning and asked around. Most ignored me. A couple stared like I was a stray dog. Then I met Ray. Old guy, maybe late 70s. Lean with a permanent scowl and a voice like gravel. "You know how to scrub bait buckets?" he asked. "No." "You know how to shut up and follow directions?" "Yeah." He tossed me a pair of gloves. "You start now. No forms, no background checks, just hours of salt, sweat, and rust." I scrubbed fish bins, oiled winches, coiled wet rope until my arms ached. Didn't say much, didn't have to. That night, I went by the donation bin behind the bar, grabbed a jacket someone left behind. Brown canvas, old school patch above the chest that said Joel in stitched black letters. I stared at it a second, then slipped it on. It fit. Next morning, I introduced myself as Joel. No one asked why. Every day after that was the same. Docks at 6, work till 2. I ate lunch alone, walked the shoreline, kept my head down. The town was small, maybe 15 blocks of actual buildings, the rest spread out across the coast. Locals barely looked at me after the first week. I wasn't new anymore. I was just Joel. Some nights I walked the pier, watching fog roll in like smoke. Other nights I sat in my room listening to the creaks of the old place. Didn't speak unless I had to. It was better that way. Every mile I put between me and Reno made the air feel a little clearer. Mason was gone, and Joel. Joel didn't owe anybody anything. By the end of the second month, people stopped staring. I'd walk into Clyde's for coffee and someone would nod. I'd pass a fisherman outside the gear shop, and he'd just say, "Morning, Joel," like I'd always been here. I started running in the mornings, old sneakers, fog thick enough to hide in, no headphones, just the slap of my feet and the sound of gulls. It cleared my head in a way nothing else could. Most days still started on the docks. Ray had me fixing nets, hauling scrap, even painting holes. "You work quiet," he told me once. "Most people don't." That was all he said, but I knew it meant he liked having me around. I didn't just stick to dock work. One afternoon, I passed by the front of the thrift shop and saw a busted bike half crashed into the fence. Chain was off, tires flat, one pedal missing. I squatted down and started fixing it without asking. No one stopped me. That little fix turned into more. Fences, gutters, a wobbly porch step at the library. I kept my head down and my hands moving. Then Darlene came along. She owned a candle shop near the post office. Kind eyes, big silver glasses, and a voice that always sounded a little out of breath. "You're Joel, right?" she asked one morning while I was sweeping outside the bar. "Yeah. You fix things?" Mostly physical stuff. What do you need?" She held up her phone. "A website. I tried setting one up for my store, but it's awful. My nephew said I need someone who understands, the internet." I almost said no, almost walked away, but something in me wanted to try. All right, I used to do some of that stuff. 3 days later, I was sitting in the back of her shop, typing code on her ancient desktop and cursing every pop-up ad from whatever free builder she'd used. I ended up building her a clean site from scratch. Simple, functional, easy to update. She was thrilled. "You should charge people for this," she said. "Seriously?" I shrugged. "Maybe." Word spread fast in a town this size. By the next week, I was helping the marina owner set up a reservation system. A few days after that, the bookstore guy asked me to fix his mailing list. That's when I rented the shop. It was a tiny unit near the edge of the marina, barely big enough for a desk, a mini fridge, and a window with cracked blinds. The guy who leased it out gave me a cheap monthly rate under the table. I painted the front door navy blue and taped a paper sign inside the glass. JW Solutions. Digital help / tech fixes / quiet work. I never put my full name on anything. Never gave too much detail. People assumed JW stood for Joel something, and I didn't correct them. They came with busted laptops, slow websites, printer headaches, and email problems. I took every job. I never advertised, never posted online. Didn't need to. Every week felt steadier, a little more normal. No one asked where I came from. They just handed me their problems and trusted I'd fix them. One night I caught my reflection in the shop window. Hair longer, skin a little sunburned, fewer lines on my forehead. I didn't look like a scandal. I didn't feel like one either. Not Mason the liar, not Joel the fake. Just a guy who worked with his hands, kept his mouth shut, and didn't owe this town a damn thing. But for the first time in forever, I wanted to stay. The wind slammed against the windows like it was trying to get in. Rain pounded the roof hard enough to drown out my space heater, and the power had flickered twice already. I was halfway through cleaning up some corrupted files on a client's laptop when I heard the knocking. Not a polite tap. Full-on banging, desperate, fast. I froze. No one knocked like that unless something was wrong. I opened the door slow, expecting maybe someone from the bar downstairs or one of the dock guys needing help. It was her. Natalie, hair soaked, dripping into her eyes. Jacket clinging to her like plastic wrap. No umbrella, no plan. She looked like she hadn't slept in days, paler than I remembered, hollow. I didn't say anything, just stared. She opened her mouth, but her voice cracked. "Please, can I talk to you?" My hands stayed at my sides. I didn't move. I didn't know where else to go," she said. "I've been looking for you for weeks. Someone saw your name on a receipt and—" I cut her off with a glance toward the storm behind her. "You need to go somewhere dry. I need 5 minutes." Her voice broke. "Please." I didn't invite her in. I stepped back into the room, grabbed the drawer key off my desk, opened the bottom cabinet, and pulled out the drive. Silver, cheap, no label. I walked back to the door and held it out. "What is it?" she asked, not touching it. I didn't answer, just kept my hand out. She finally took it. "Come back after you've listened to that," I said. She blinked, confused. "Mason, after?" Her hand trembled. Her eyes darted between the drive and my face like she couldn't decide what hurt more, the storm or me. Then she turned and walked into the rain without another word. I shut the door behind her, didn't lock it, didn't open it either. The heater clicked off again. The storm kept howling like it wanted to drag the whole building into the ocean. I sat on the floor with my back against the desk, arms resting on my knees, staring out the window at nothing. Didn't cry, didn't shake, didn't feel much at all. That audio file had come 6 months earlier. No note. Just a return address from Fresno. When I opened it, I heard Amelia's voice, smug, half-drunk, laughing into someone's phone mic. I knew if I dropped the right name and looked panicked, she'd believe anything. Natalie's a bleeding heart. I just needed her to turn once. That's all it took. Mason. He's smart, but not that smart. 6 minutes of confession, arrogance, cruelty. I saved it and said nothing. Now Natalie had it, and I had the silence. The kind that doesn't need to be filled. The kind you earn after everything burns down. I didn't sleep that night. Just listened to the storm rage and let it pass. She came back just after sunrise. Same clothes, hair still damp. No makeup, no pretense. Just her, holding the USB drive in one hand like it weighed 50 pounds. I didn't open the door wide, just enough so we could see each other. "I listened to it," she said. Her voice was raw, like she'd been crying for hours. All of it. 3 times. I leaned against the frame, said nothing. Her eyes were red and puffy. It doesn't even sound like her, but it is. I know her voice. I know her laugh. I nodded once. She looked down, gripping the drive tighter. "She bragged about it. She ruined your life, and Her throat caught. I helped her do it. I let her talk. I didn't want to believe she could do something like that. I didn't even question it. I was just angry and scared, and I needed to make it stop. Still, I said nothing. "I didn't even ask you." You were right. That part hit her harder than she expected. She staggered back half a step, like her own words physically hit her. I finally opened the door fully and stepped outside. We stood on the narrow balcony between my room and the storm-washed street. "You want to know the worst part?" I said. She nodded, eyes fixed on the wood beneath her feet. I knew. I've known for almost 2 years. Got the recording 6 months after it all went down. I've had witness statements, screenshots, people willing to speak up. She looked up at me, wide-eyed. "Then why didn't you come back? Why didn't you tell anyone?" "Because it wouldn't have mattered." "What do you mean?" I stared at her. "You didn't need proof to throw me out. You didn't need a second opinion. You didn't even need a second sentence. One accusation from your cousin's friend, and you were done. That's all I needed to know." She flinched. I spent months thinking about ways to clear my name. Publicly, legally, through mutual friends. But what was the point? The lie was too easy. The truth would have been too late. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. I believed that she was, but I didn't care. "Do you hate me?" she asked, voice trembling. "No," I said. "I just don't have anything left for you." Her lip quivered. "I destroyed you." "No," I said calmly. "You just watched someone else do it and didn't stop them." She looked like she wanted to say more, but there was nothing left to pull from. No justifications, no rescue mission. "I'll leave," she said. I needed you to know that I know now. I'm not expecting anything. I just wanted to say it to your face." "Good," I said. She nodded slowly. "Okay." She walked back down the steps without looking back. I shut the door behind her, didn't slam it, just shut it. Then I got back to work. I had 2 computers to fix, a billing page to finish, and a broken email server to troubleshoot. The heater rattled back on. The fridge clicked. The window showed a cloudy sky, wind pushing the last of the storm out to sea. No big scenes, no dramatic forgiveness, just a door that opened and then closed. That was all. I saw her again 3 days later. Not outside my door, just walking downtown with a paper bag in one hand and a coffee in the other. She wore plain clothes, no makeup, face calm. She didn't come up to me, didn't wave, just nodded when we passed near the bakery. I nodded back. That was it. Turned out she'd rented a studio apartment above the tailor shop near 3rd Street. The landlord, Mitch, mentioned it offhand one morning while I was helping him set up email forwarding. She's quiet, he said. Keeps to herself. Real polite. Yeah, I replied. She usually is. I didn't say more. He didn't ask. A few weeks later, someone told me she was volunteering part-time at the medical center, helping with patient intake, filing, random stuff like that. No one used her full name, just Natalie. Nobody in town knew what had happened between us, not directly, but people started figuring it out. Fog Harbor wasn't a gossip town, but it wasn't blind either. Someone eventually put 2 and 2 together. The woman who showed up during a storm looking like hell, and the guy who never talked about his past. They didn't say anything to me. I think they knew better. We passed each other now and then. Post office, grocery store, beach path. Every time, just a nod, civil, quiet, months rolled by. Summer turned to fall. My client list kept growing. Business was solid. Then one afternoon, I was eating lunch on the bench near my shop when she walked up. No hesitation. "Can I sit?" she asked. I motioned to the empty space beside me. She sat slow and deliberate, like she was bracing for impact. For a minute, neither of us spoke. "I listen to it almost every night," she said finally, eyes locked straight ahead. "That recording, it's burned into my brain." I didn't respond. I keep trying to figure out how I let it happen. How I believed her so fast. How I didn't even look you in the eye and ask. Still nothing from me, just chewing my sandwich. She looked down at her hands. I think I wanted it to be true. That made me turn toward her, not all the way, just enough. She kept going. It made things simple. If you were the villain, I didn't have to question anything. Didn't have to wonder why things felt off with my family. Didn't have to deal with guilt. You gave me something to blame. I finished the bite. You didn't want the truth. She blinked, turned to me. You wanted safety, I said, and I was the sacrifice. She swallowed hard. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I did. A couple walked past us with a dog. The woman waved, I waved back. Natalie didn't move. I don't expect forgiveness, she said softly. Good. I don't want anything from you, just wanted to say it out loud. She stood up slowly, took a step, then stopped. Thank you, she said without looking back. For not destroying me. You could have. I didn't answer. She walked off. That night I locked the shop early and took a walk by the water. The air was cold and sharp, and the sky had that orange tint it gets before sunset. She was right about one thing. I could have wrecked her. But I didn't. It started with a Reddit notification. I had reinstalled the app a few weeks earlier, just for tech threads and small business stuff, but that morning I tapped the alert and saw a post at the top of r/off my chest. Title, He Didn't Do It. I helped ruin him anyway. I clicked it. First line, I once believed a lie that destroyed someone. This is about him, not me. No names, no locations. But 10 lines in, I felt my stomach drop. Every detail matched, the cousins, the slap, the lies, the silence. At the bottom, there was a link to a recording. Same audio file, same breathless voice. Amelia, laughing like a kid who broke something on purpose. The post exploded. Hundreds of comments by noon, thousands by the evening. This guy deserves justice. I hope she gets fired. He is more proof people believe women without thinking twice. This is why we wait for facts. People started digging. Someone clipped the audio and matched Amelia's voice to a public podcast she used to co-host. Another pulled screenshots from her old PR firm's website. They didn't need names. They had everything else. 2 days later, I saw it on a media blog. Senior publicist at Wilner Plus Fox terminated following viral audio leak. Her face was blurred, but I recognized the blazer. Amelia's socials vanished overnight. Derek and Shane got dragged next. Someone found an old Instagram story showing the 3 of them outside the apartment complex the day it happened. A comment under the post read, "And these 2 idiots assaulted an innocent man based on one sentence from a jealous cousin." Another headline popped up. 2 former fitness trainers let go after online uproar. Then, Natalie's mom, a name buried in some charity boards, quietly resigned from her nonprofit. A different user called out a post she'd made years back about protecting women from manipulators. They didn't let her slide. I didn't comment, didn't repost, didn't react, but I read it all. From behind my shop window, the world shifted without me lifting a finger. Locals noticed. Mrs. Tenner from the bookstore brought me fresh banana bread. No explanation, just a smile and a, "You're doing good work." Ray tossed me a set of spare keys to his boat shed. "Just in case you ever need space," he said. Even the bartender downstairs gave me a free beer after closing one night. He didn't say why. Nobody asked me about the post. Not one person said, "Is that about you?" They didn't have to. They already knew. Truth had a weird way of surfacing. Not loud, not fast, just patient. Like it knew it didn't need help. I saw Natalie once that week. She was walking down the hill near the docks, hands in her coat pockets, face low. We locked eyes. She didn't wave, didn't smile, just nodded once. And I nodded back. I went inside and kept working. Couple laptops to clean. A firewall issue to fix. Life didn't pause just because people finally believed me. And, honestly, I didn't need them to. She kept working at the clinic, kept showing up to grocery stores, coffee spots, community events. She existed near me, but never close. No more knocking, no more benches, just space. And honestly, that was fine. I didn't feel anything sharp when I saw her anymore. Just a quiet, dull acceptance. Some people don't come back from what they did. Some try to. One night, just past closing, I stepped outside to lock up. She was across the street leaning on the railing near the marina path. She didn't wave, just looked at me for a second, then crossed slowly. "I won't keep you long," she said. "Just one last time." I leaned against the shop door. "All right." We didn't sit, didn't need to. "I've been turning it over for months," she said, trying to figure out when exactly I stopped thinking for myself. When I gave up on you without even looking you in the eye. I didn't respond. She took a breath. If someone had told me the truth back then, no proof, just words, I wouldn't have believed them. I would have defended Amelia, called you a liar. It wasn't just the lie, it was me. I wanted to believe her. I nodded. "Yeah, I know. I think about that slap every night, not just what I did, but what it said, that I didn't even see you as worth asking." My voice was steady. "You weren't alone. A lot of people showed me exactly where I stood. You just got to be first." She looked down at her hands. "Do you hate me?" "No," I said. "I forgave you." She blinked. "You did?" "Yeah, a while ago." I straightened up. "But that doesn't mean I want you back in my life." She nodded. I figured. The marina lights buzzed behind her, dull yellow against the water. I had this dumb idea that maybe someday we'd talk again. For real. As friends, maybe? I shrugged. "We're talking now. That's probably enough." She smiled, sad but not surprised. "Do you think you'll ever trust anyone again?" "I already do," I said. "Myself." She breathed out through her nose. "That's fair." Then she looked at me straight on. "I promise I'll leave you alone now. No more benches, no more confessions. I just needed to say it all out loud once." "Okay," I said. She took a few steps back, then paused. "Thank you for not making a show of it." I nodded. "Thank you for the quiet." She walked away, didn't rush, didn't cry, just left. I stood there for a long time after, staring down the empty street, hands in my jacket pockets. There was no grand finale. No dramatic forgiveness arc. Just the last line of a chapter I finished myself. The next morning, I walked into town early, coffee in hand, breeze off the water, boots hitting pavement like I belonged there. Because I did. People waved. Darlene shouted something about her new Shopify login. Ray handed me a receipt for boat parts and grunted. "You're late." I wasn't. He just liked saying it. My name was on signs now, not just taped paper, but real ones. Engraved. Clean lettering, JW Solutions, tech help, web support, security coaching. I started hosting free digital safety classes at the library every other Saturday. Teenagers showed up. So did older folks. Everyone wanted to know how to protect their passwords, spot scams, lock down their lives. Everything leaves a trail, I told them. Make sure it's one you're willing to own. Last week, a kid named Tyler, maybe 10, maybe 11, dropped off a folded piece of notebook paper on my desk, said, "This is for you," and ran out before I could ask anything. I opened it that night, crayon drawing of a man standing in the middle of what looked like rain and wind. Big storm clouds above, lightning in the corner. The guy had no face, no features. But across the bottom, in big block letters, it said, "Truth doesn't flinch." I stared at it for a long time. I didn't feel proud in the way people usually mean it. It wasn't about beating anyone, wasn't about payback. It was just survival, without hate. That afternoon, I walked into the lease office near the marina. New unit just opened up across from the hardware store. Bigger space, clean windows, fresh paint. The woman behind the desk handed me the paperwork. "Business name?" she asked. I clicked my pen once, then I wrote it down, slow and solid. Mason Joel Whitaker. She looked up. "All three." "All three," I said. She nodded, stapled the forms, and slid me the keys. As I stepped outside into the sun, I didn't look back. Didn't need to. The man who disappeared had made his return, not to reclaim who he was, but to own who he'd become.